Hey, what's up, DIYers? Mike Boards with the Mike Boards channel. Thank you for watching. We are back working on our Chrysler Pacifica, and this can work for Jeep, Dodge, Ram as well. However, in the event that you have your traction control light annunciation on your instrument cluster, we're going to show you a couple common causes of what led to that. Let's take a look. All right, DIYers, here we are in the garage, and on the far end, 2018 Chrysler Pacifica is what we are referencing today. And again, the common cause of what is triggering that traction control light on your instrument cluster. Warming up today, snow is melting. Let's hop inside the vehicle. All right, DIYers, here we are sitting inside the vehicle in the driver's seat. You can see our instrument cluster. Everything's off right now. And let's direct our attention to the center push button control panel, which chances are yours looks very similar, if not the exact same as this one here. And that is our transmission selector knob, and allows us to cycle through all of the transmission settings: park, reverse, neutral, drive, and low. However, the top center portion of the control push button panel, you have three large push buttons, and the one on the far left is your auto start. We are all familiar with that one. And then this one, the P and off, that is your park sensor or rear camera park sensor deactivation push button. And what that is, a quick 101 explanation of it if you don't know or have not used it before. On a normal day, when you start the engine and put the vehicle in reverse, well, that activates your camera, and the reverse setting of the camera pops up. You can see basically everything behind your vehicle in the camera's range. However, in the event that you are pulling a jet ski or a boat or a trailer that has a lawnmower on it or anything else, anytime you put this in reverse with that not deactivated, you are not going to be able to reverse. The system will detect that there is an issue and something or an object is intruding that back area where the camera is, and it's going to lock your brakes. You're not going to be able to move. So that is the 101 explanation of that. You will use that when you're pulling a trailer. However, directly to the right of that, you see a car or vehicle with some squiggly lines and the word off, and that is your traction control push button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the brake and I'm going to start the engine. Coming up to our instrument cluster, you can see our odometer or mileage is 70,484. So in the event that you are experiencing the traction control warning at this mileage range, that's not too uncommon. However, in our case, we've got everything up and running properly. No check engine light, no brake light, no red dot, no anything, no advisories. And coming down here, I am going to push this and deactivate traction control. And does that look familiar? Chances are that is what is illuminating on your instrument cluster. And it just turned off momentarily. Once I put it in drive, which I'm not going to do, it will re-illuminate. I'll do that again. And again, traction control on. I'm going to turn it off. Now, there is a lot of activity on this control panel. You've got your volume for your radio, you've got these three push buttons, you've got your hazard, mute, screen off, and you've got your heat and climate control, as well as your radio tuner. It's very possible that you accidentally bumped this push button or pressed it in and deactivated the traction control. If you did that, you will see that the light is on and your traction control comes on and off or blinks at you while the vehicle is in drive and you're driving down the road. And in addition, the traction control right inside there is illuminated, as you see right there, because again, we have deactivated and turned off the traction control feature of our vehicle. So DIYers, that is common cause number one, accidentally pushing and deactivating this push button. I'm going to turn that off, or let me rephrase that, I'm going to activate and turn on the traction control. Come back up here, and as you can see, the traction control is no longer illuminated. Again, common cause number one. Common cause number two, we actually have to get outside the vehicle and direct our attention to the wheels and wheel hubs, where we will talk about the brakes as well as the speed sensors. All right, DIYers, we stepped out of the vehicle. We've got the camera position looking at the driver front side tire and wheel well, as well as rim, the rotor, the brake calipers, the brake pads, and whatever else is in there, right? However, we are here because inside that wheel well are a few additional items that can actually trigger that traction control light to illuminate on your instrument cluster. and one of which are your brake pads and rotors. And in the event that your brake pads are pretty worn out and getting to a point where they are making an unfriendly scraping sound on the rotor when you press the brake pedal inside the vehicle to slow the vehicle down, well, the internal sensors can pick that up and trigger that traction control light, because weak and worn out brakes degrade the overall performance and reliability of your traction control system. So again, that will trigger it. On top of that, you have the internal speed sensors, and what those are little tiny magnetic sensors that are attached on the inner wheel hub, and they track the speed of this exact tire and wheel hub. And if you got 4 tires like we do, you have 4 separate speed sensors, one installed and secured to each wheel hub. And if we took the tire off, which we're not going to bore you with in this video, you would see a face-to-face wide open view of our rotor and brake caliper and pads. And if we stuck our head inside that wheel hub and wheel well to the back of the rotor and brake assembly, you will see your wheel hub, and you will see an electrical wire feed into the wheel well, and that goes to your speed sensor. And if you follow that wire all the way up, it will feed somewhere into the engine compartment to just a normal electrical connection point. And to replace that, you will again have to remove the tire, go behind the brake rotor and brake assembly so you can see that wire, and follow it all the way to where it is secured by a bolt to the wheel hub. Remove it from there, followed by following the wire up through the engine compartment to its respective electrical connection point. However, your electrical connection might not actually feed into the engine compartment. It might be outside in the wheel well, so take that into consideration. It might be simpler than you think. So again, that's the next common cause, and the last common cause, surprisingly, is very likely and common to trigger your traction control light, and that is your tire PSI sensor. And DIYers, I promise you this, all of our tires in modern cars today have those sensors. And when your tire PSI drops below the manufacturer's set PSI, I'll let you guess what happens. And you probably guessed it right. A low tire PSI annunciator or advisory will trigger and appear on your instrument cluster, and it'll stay there until you put air in your tire and bring it back up to the proper PSI. However, if you neglect that for a very long time, DIYers, that is not good. That's very unsafe. Over time, the traction control system is going to detect that and get a little irritated that you haven't put air in the tire. And believe it or not, the traction control light will activate or trigger that light on your instrument cluster. So it is a good thing to keep up on your tire PSI. In the event that it gets low, go ahead and bring it back up to the recommended PSI per your manufacturer. And DIYers, that is it. Again, the common causes which can trigger your traction control light. And we hope this helps. Hey, do us a favor. Below the video, you will see that thumbs up icon. Click on that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely ring your YouTube bell. That would be very helpful to us. We'd really appreciate it. And one more thing before we wrap this video up. Down below in the comments and description, you will find several helpful video links of us working on this exact Pacifica, ranging from replacing a cabin air filter, replacing an engine air filter, replacing internal overhead lights, replacing your front windshield wipers as well as the rear wiper, and more. Definitely check those out. You may find them helpful. Thanks again for watching.